The train station was a place of eerie silence, illuminated only by the pale glow of flickering fluorescent lights. A small crowd of weary travelers huddled on the platform, their collective impatience palpable in the crisp midnight air. A handwritten sign announced a delay for the last train of the night due to unspecified technical issues. Muffled sighs and grumbles of frustration filled the air as people checked their watches, anxious to get home after a long day. Among the travelers was Samantha, a young woman with a weariness that ran deeper than the late hour. Her train ride home was the final leg of a journey that had begun early that morning. She had spent the day at a job interview that left her feeling more drained than hopeful. Now she stood on the platform, staring at her phone as the minutes turned into hours. Beside Samantha, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson fidgeted nervously. He had been visiting his daughter and grandkids for the weekend and was anxious to return home. He clutched a faded leather suitcase filled with gifts for his family, his brow furrowing deeper with every announcement of the delay. Time seemed to slow as the minutes stretched into an eternity. Samantha checked her phone repeatedly, each glance revealing a later hour and a growing sense of dread. She overheard snippets of conversations among the other passengers, speculating about the nature of the technical issues that kept the train at bay. "It's probably just some minor glitch," one man said, trying to reassure his travel companion. Samantha nodded in agreement, but couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She glanced around the dimly lit station, her unease deepening. The only source of light was a single flickering bulb overhead, casting eerie shadows on the cracked tiles below. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the faint rumble of approaching tracks broke the suffocating silence. Samantha, Mr. Thompson, and the other passengers straightened up, their spirits lifting at the sound of salvation arriving. The replacement train was a welcome sight, its headlights cutting through the night like a beacon of hope. The replacement train eased to a stop, its doors sliding open with a hiss of compressed air. Passengers hurried to board, their relief palpable. Samantha and Mr. Thompson joined the line, clutching their tickets tightly. The interior of the train was dimly lit, its narrow aisle flanked by rows of worn, tattered seats. Samantha chose a window seat and settled in, her curiosity piqued by the train's antiquated charm. As she glanced around, she noticed that the other passengers too were taking their seats with a mixture of curiosity and exhaustion. The doors closed with a mechanical thud, and the train began to move, its slow, rhythmic chugging creating a hypnotic cadence. Samantha watched the platform recede into the distance, her earlier concerns about the delay fading into the background. Mr. Thompson took the seat across from Samantha, his weathered hands gripping the armrests. "Finally, we're on our way," he mumbled, his voice tinged with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Samantha nodded, offering a tired smile in return. "Yes, it's about time." But as the train continued its journey, a sense of unease settled over the passengers. The landscape outside the windows had become increasingly surreal, with twisted trees and bizarre, shifting shapes. The night sky, once filled with stars, was now an inky void, as if they had been transported to another world entirely. The passengers exchanged wary glances, their earlier relief giving way to apprehension. No one spoke, as if the train itself demanded silence. The tension inside the train grew thicker with each passing mile. Samantha tried to shake off her unease, focusing on the strange landscape outside, but it offered no comfort. It was as if the train had entered a nightmarish realm, a place that defied all logic and reason. Then, it began. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a chilling breeze that sent shivers down Samantha's spine. She glanced around, realizing that the other passengers had also felt it. The dimly lit carriages took on an even more unsettling quality, as the overhead lights flickered intermittently. Samantha's heart began to race as the train's interior darkened, plunging them into near darkness. Shadows danced on the edges of her vision, and she could hear faint whispers in the air, like the distant murmur of voices. She strained to make out the words, but could only catch fragments of sentences. Deepest fears, darkest desires, no escape. The passengers shifted in their seats, their discomfort growing. Mr. Thompson's grip on the armrests had tightened, his knuckles turning white. Then, the apparitions appeared. Samantha's breath caught in her throat as ghostly figures materialized in the aisle. They were grotesque and distorted, their forms a nightmarish reflection of human beings. Some wore masks of anguish, while others grinned with malevolence. They moved silently, gliding through the train as if in pursuit of something elusive. The passengers watched in terror as the apparitions drew closer, their eyes fixed on the terrified travelers. Samantha's heart pounded in her chest as one of them drifted toward her, its hollow gaze locking onto her own. She could feel its presence probing her mind, peeling back the layers of her consciousness to reveal her deepest fears and insecurities. Images flashed before her eyes, her failed job interview, the strained relationship with her family, her loneliness. It was as if her inner demons had been unleashed and were now parading before her, taunting her with her own vulnerabilities. Around her, the other passengers began to react as well. Some screamed, while others cowered in their seats, their faces contorted with terror. The whispers in the air grew louder, a cacophony of haunting voices that echoed through the train. As the apparitions continued their relentless assault on the passengers' psyches, panic took hold. Samantha felt as if her mind was unraveling, the line between reality and nightmare, blurring beyond recognition. She looked to Mr. Thompson, who sat frozen in his seat, his eyes wide with terror. "We need to do something," Samantha shouted above the din of screams and whispers. But no one seemed capable of forming a coherent plan. Trust had disintegrated among the passengers and paranoia ran rampant. Each person was trapped in their own private hell, unable to escape the torment of their deepest fears. Time became an abstract concept, a relentless passage into the unknown. Samantha and the others struggled to maintain their sanity as the apparitions continued their torment. It was as if the train had become a nightmarish reflection of their own minds, a place where their inner demons held dominion. In the darkness, Samantha could no longer discern the faces of the other passengers. They had become mere silhouettes, their individuality swallowed by the relentless terror that surrounded them. The train's rhythmic chugging had become a haunting, discordant melody, a dirge for the shattered souls aboard. As the nightmare within the train reached its zenith, Samantha's mind raced for a solution. She couldn't bear to confront her fears any longer, to be trapped in this endless torment. She needed to break free. Summoning every ounce of courage she could muster, Samantha rose from her seat and confronted the apparition that had haunted her for what felt like an eternity. She locked eyes with it, refusing to be cowed by its malevolent presence. "I won't let you control me," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. The apparition recoiled, its form flickering and distorting before dissipating into nothingness. Around her, the other passengers began to follow suit, finding their own strength to resist the nightmarish entities that had tormented them. With each apparition defeated, the train's grip on reality weakened. The whispers in the air grew fainter, and the darkness that had enveloped them began to recede. The landscape outside the windows shifted again, becoming less surreal and more like the world they had known before. The train's chugging became less discordant, the rhythmic sound soothing rather than unsettling. Relief washed over Samantha as she realized that they were finally breaking free from the train's sinister grasp. With a collective effort, the passengers banished the last of the apparitions, and the train began to slow. The nightmarish realm they had been trapped in began to fade away, replaced by the familiar surroundings of the train station they had departed from. The train came to a stop, its doors sliding open with a sigh of relief. The passengers disembarked, their faces pale and haunted by the horrors they had endured. They stood on the platform gazing at the familiar station with a newfound appreciation for the world they had taken for granted. Samantha and Mr. Thompson exchanged a weary but grateful smile. They had faced their deepest fears and emerged on the other side, stronger and more resilient than they had ever imagined. As the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon, the passengers watched as the midnight train, with its dark, enigmatic allure, disappeared into the distance, leaving behind only a lingering sense of unease and the haunting memory of a journey through their own nightmares. The experience had changed them forever, a reminder that the deepest terrors often lurk within the recesses of the human psyche. waiting to be confronted and conquered. They had survived the midnight train, but the echoes of its horrors would linger in their minds for a lifetime. Thanks for watching our terrifying journey on the midnight train. If you enjoyed this spine-tingling adventure, be sure to subscribe for more hair-raising tales, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest creepy content. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to take you on more chilling rides in the future. Subscribe now and join our community of horror enthusiasts.